next on Six Ed World.
Feminists are emasculating our men and stopping women from having children. Everyone you thought was a woman is a man, and everyone you thought was a man is a woman.
It's not what it seems.
But watchers, we know that men are the predators, so we need to focus on the women. We have to police the women. No woman is to be trusted. We need women to comply so that we know that they're safe. Think of the children. The grift that keeps on grifting. Candace Owens, a lead investigator for the right. She's stuck on this loop still that Brigitte Macron, wife and former teacher of Emmanuel Macron, is in fact trans, or in Candace's eyes, a man. Because to the right and to TERFs, or as they should be called, farts, being trans is a bad thing. It means that you're manipulating, you're lying. I really want to shout out Jose's video on Candace, by the way. It's linked for you down below. Excellent deep dive. The conspiracy theory is that Brigitte is actually Jean-Michel, who just happens to be Brigitte's brother. Most of the conspiracy theories based on the fact that she doesn't have many public images of her when she was young, when she was a kid, and it's like, wow, curse a woman for being older, right? There's issues with Brigitte Macron for sure. I mean, I more take issues with the fact that she was Emmanuel's teacher, and I spoke about that years ago. Candace has even said that Trump called her up asking her to stop talking about this because it was upsetting Emmanuel Macron. And annoyingly, news has just dropped from France. A French appeals court on Thursday overturned convictions against 2 women accused of libel against French First Lady Brigitte Macron, after they spread false claims that she used to be a man that reached the United States. Which Candace is very happy about because it means that yes, it is perfectly okay to completely fixate on someone else's genitals.
I'd like to shout out especially all my haters here right at the top who didn't believe me when I was all like, Brigitte Macron is a man, and instead they decided to go with the mainstream media, the narrative that was just, Candace is unhinged, Brigitte Macron won for defamation. Well, that's no longer a thing. More on this later. It's tying in all too well with rights being stripped away from women and minorities in the name of safety and restoring order. This is femininity under fascism. And scarily, you'll find that it's women who have taken up this righteous helm to police each other. This is done by preying on insecurities, by getting involved in politics to get really heinous bills passed, and heck, even working in government to undo progress like what's happened here in Aotearoa. Everybody is under surveillance from the pastel pink police, and I hate the fact that they've ruined one of my absolute favourite colours. Layla Wright did a documentary for the BBC where she travelled to see America's new female right, where a huge influencer, 16-year-old Hannah Faulkner, who's been an influencer since she was 13 for the right. She says this about feminism.
I believe feminism is the war on masculinity. The feminist movement has lied to women over and over and over again, and it's also emasculated and created weak, spineless men in society to where now we're seeing all of these issues facing us.
And she also says that the country was founded on...
Our country was founded upon traditional values. A man and a woman with a family for a lifetime.
Funny, because I thought it was founded on genocide and then against monarchy and also wanting separation of church and state, but I guess all of that is being undone except for the genocide part, right? Yeah, because sadly both of the big political parties in the US are still very much for genocide. Hannah's dad was a former pastor turned tradesman, and he distrusts all form of public schooling. I wonder why. And watching them do Bible study together as a family, it was incredibly telling that he was the one that had directly taught her everything that she knows. He's even trying to get her to say stuff in her own words, but it's so clear that she is just his mouthpiece.
All this to try to be a politician, and you need to say that in your own words.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not doing this to become a politician or to become famous.
You said before that your goal is to see more families be wholesome. You say that in your own words.
It's like he's unironically trying to recreate, but I'm a cheerleader.
If somebody says, well, your kids are brainwashed, sometimes I say, well, at least their brains are clean.
Almost lost her to college. You know, it's so much harder once they've been through all that liberal arts brainwashing.
And it's pretty heartbreaking when you realize that Hannah actually has no friends.
Do I have any gay friends? I don't really have friends, so you don't have friends.
And she's just being used as a puppet, but she is so righteous in all of her vitriol towards the LGBTQIA+ community that it's like... It's going to take a hell of a lot of deprogramming on this one. As Judith Butler writes in Who's Afraid of Gender, women are defined as those whose freedom must be contained by the state. Those who claim to know what place women should occupy in social and political life are adhering to a very specific theory of gender. They are not opposed to gender, they have a precise gender order in mind that they want to impose upon the world. And look, I feel really bad today, I'm in a lot of pain, and I need a sweet treat. So you are going to be joining me as I bake some brownies because living in Aotearoa as a vegan, Your options are never really there from like a local bakery. And we live in small town Aotearoa, so even less options here. I did not come up with this recipe. It's linked for you down below. And patrons, there is already the extended uncensored director's cut version of this video live for you over there.
Did you see how tall she is?
No, I haven't noticed, actually.
How could you not notice? She's like a basketball player.
Rome, she's a very nice lady.
I mean, God, I can't believe you set me up with that. What, was the bearded lady busy tonight or something?
It takes a lot of effort to look like a proper girl. Remember in Canto how executives didn't think that Louisa, you know, the really strong middle sister, who shouldered the burdens of keeping the family together and keeping everything in line and felt incredibly anxious. Hey there, elder siblings, how are you doing? You okay? Did watching that movie hurt a little bit? Bit too close to the bone? I say this as the bratty youngest child. Disney didn't think that she'd be a popular character that girls would want to play with. In fact, animators had to fight Disney so that Louisa could have a more muscular figure. Dylan Akron, an illustrator and character modeling supervisor on the film, said, in a now deleted tweet, maybe the mouse got them. I think we all just wanted to do it in a way that worked well with the style and really made sense for the character, and I'm really proud of the way that she turned out. And merch for Louisa was a rarity when the movie came out. Everything Encanto related was Mirabelle, understandable, she's a lead character, or Isabella. As this tweet shares, my daughter just asked for a Louisa-themed birthday party and literally everything in Encanto has Mirabelle's or Isabella's face on it. And I'm not in the financial situation to have everything custom made. Disney needs to step it up with Louisa merch. And I was scrolling through the archives on Mumsnet and they kept on posting, sharing, oh, I found this Louisa merch. Oh, you can find this here, because there was such a need. Like, these kids, these little girls really wanted this strong person to be able to like relate to. And for Isabella in the movie, the whole thing with her is that she feels so much pressure to have to fit into this perfect pretty princess mold, and it stifles her creativity and she breaks away from that. Did Disney even watch its own movie? Because it's just like whoosh, it went right over their heads. But yeah, they're so woke, right? As they're trying to like make everyone fit into like these perfect little boxes. No. Do you know how many parents were shocked to find out that Bluey was a girl because she broke the stereotype of blue being for boys? It's a Blue's Clues debacle all over again. Oh God, I'm wearing blue. And there's so many conservative parents who hate Bluey, you know, one of the most emotionally intelligent children's and probably a lot of millennials' comfort shows around. They don't like the show because the kids are disrespectful, apparently. Obedience is key. Theme we're going to be coming across this whole video. There are thousands of posts from women and girls worried that they look too manly or too boyish. Heck, even Brooke Mock on TikTok has this video where she's asking,
do y'all think I look like a boy? Don't answer that. Please don't answer that. I already know.
While she has a full face of makeup on and is looking absolutely gorgeous. Many women and girls fear being perceived as masculine because it's a way to call us ugly, right? Belle shares how she feels like a boy after getting a short haircut. And the comments, I mean, some dudes are saying that she does look like a boy, and there are some comments that are meaning well as they're telling her how to stylize herself to make herself look more feminine. Heck, we can just go back to Bluey when her aunt says that she looks like her father. Bluey is super upset at this.
Bluey, you look just like your father.
Oh, what?
Look no further when it comes to American standards of beauty than the Dallas Cowboy cheerleaders. Even though they are evaluated on their looks before they can even go and audition, because not only do you have to be super athletic and do all of this stuff, you have to be super pretty, but then you have to go through this whole other moment of like beautification to make you the perfect American girl. One girl was told to stop working on her shoulders because she was getting too broad, but she does try to frame it like this.
She has shoulders.
I was told, you don't need to hit the weight room anymore, you look good. So I'm like, okay, I don't need to lift anymore.
Who told you that that's what you should do, or is it something you just sort of figured out?
Just figured out.
Okay.
So, I want to say.
Did somebody tell you?
Swimmers be like, oh, so the thing that makes me a good athlete makes me a man now? What? We are taught to have such a fear of manly features, and we're taught ways to minimize it in order to compensate for this factor, how to style it away, how to hide any like masculine qualities. This has been done generation after generation, because if your body doesn't conform to perfect femininity, well, you can make it. These are features such as being tall, having a strong or square jawline, an aquiline nose, or just a nose that isn't small and like turned up, a prominent forehead, dark hair, visible body or facial hair. And the thing is that all of us have this, okay? Every single woman on the planet does, even though people are absolutely terrified when they see this photo of Rachel Zegler. I say people, it's just some misogynistic men. But all of us have this. It's commonly known as like peach fuzz, and like people can often do dermaplaning to get rid of it to make makeup application smoother, for example. A deeper complexion, being fat, being muscular or strong, having anything other than teeny weeny Cinderella style tiny feet.
What size shoe do you wear?
Size 9.
9? Wow.
Having short hair, having tattoos, having piercings, but you must have like this one piercing in both ears, but any more than that, that's too much. You're ruining your body.
Fuck you, Michaela.
And then it comes down to your mannerisms, the way you walk, the way you talk, the drink you order, the way that you eat, the clothes that you wear, everything. Ugh.
You look like a skunk. A depressed skunk.
I thought we don't use insults in this house.
Stop looking like a man. That's disgusting. You're ugly. And you'll notice that a lot of what is considered to be masculine is anything that varies away from one particular kind of Aryan standard of beauty. And lots of emphasis on smallness, on petiteness, and not being strong in any way. It's almost like you want women to be very tiny and weak. That's not concerning. As is discussed in Fear in the Black Body by Sabrina Strings, she discusses Gobineau and the Aryan creation and how this became a beauty standard in particular in the USA. Because being white wasn't enough, you had to be a particular kind of white to make sure that you were the top tier kind of white person. Southern and Eastern Europeans were vilified. Picking up on the work of Gobineau, observers deemed them inferior hybrid white races, according to the logic of existing theories about average and racialized depravity. Southern and Eastern Europeans were often considered corpulent. Northern and Western Europeans were praised by contrast for their intellect and beauty. Under the new racial regime, these Nordic Aryan people were deemed tall and taut. There was a growing consensus that America was the place to find the best examples of the tall, svelte, Nordic Aryan type. And in the 1800s, you know how we have things like Cosmopolitan and Vogue and whatnot today? There was Godey's Ladies book in the 1800s. Chapter on female features, written by Leigh Hunt, where Sabrina describes, it was incumbent upon Anglo-Saxon women then to serve as the flag bearers of a new standard of beauty, one rooted, thanks to our benign religion and better civilization in morality, health, and racial pride. What we most need, the author concludes, is to perfect our own system in which we avow that delicacy must never be violated, health never sacrificed, and propriety never disregarded. You may be asking, well, what about everyone else that isn't white? Oh, according to white supremacy, which is kind of like the beauty standard which dictates a lot of the Western world, lesser than. Unless people are using featureism to take certain features from people and put together an Instagram face. You see, the further away from whiteness, the uglier someone becomes. Heavy quotation marks here. You really see where the white nationalism is rearing its ugly head when it comes to beauty standards now, don't you? Don't you, baby? And guess what? Facial aging affects perceived gender as well. According to this study, a set of 25 faces was created, co-varying independently 5 levels of gender, from feminine to masculine, and 5 levels of age, from young to old. And you'll also note how these are white as well. 2 independent groups of observers were presented with all possible pairs of faces from this set and compared which member of the pair appeared as more masculine, experiment 1, or older, experiment 2. Female faces were perceived as more masculine as they became older. In judgments of age, young faces, aged 20 and 30, were perceived as older as they become more masculine. Taken together, the results entail that cues for femininity and cues for aging are negatively correlated. This correlation exerts stronger influence on female faces and can explain the success in cosmetics of concealing signs of aging and exaggerating sexually dimorphic features. I'm a girl. And this CGI guy is proof that yes, actually your face can freeze that way. This also got me thinking, you know how people are always on about like the Mar-a-Lago face or whatever, you know, the whole aging thing making you look more like a man and making you less attractive, etc., etc. Made me wonder if that's one of the reasons why people can become like very fixated on getting a lot of plastic surgery and tweakments done to try and counteract this like looking more like a man, especially when that's something which is even more feared and vilified on the right. But one of the main ways that women can be seen as a good woman, according to the conservative right, is centering motherhood. However, as this Pew Research data shows from 2023, Black and Hispanic parents are more likely than white or Asian parents to see being a parent as the most important aspect of who they are. 42% followed by 38%, then for white people it's 25%, then 24%. Other responses show it's one of the most important aspects. Black and Hispanic parents were more likely than white and Asian parents to say that parenting is always rewarding. With both Black and Hispanic people, 39% said it was enjoyable all the time, white people, 18%, Asian people, 13%. And when it comes to always being rewarding, 45% for both Black and Hispanic people, 31% for white people, and 23% for Asian people. Black women are seen to be the most masculine of all, despite being a parent apparently being the purpose of a woman. It all comes back to white supremacy. Like, we know this, right? The whole great replacement theory and all of that racist nonsense. And also, no, me bringing up this data isn't saying that other people are bad parents at all. It's more saying, like, in terms of, like, what qualifies to be the best kind of woman, in conservative spaces is often those who center motherhood, and it's like, well, the people who you deem to be less feminine are the ones who are centering it most. I'm just pointing out the hypocrisy here. Being an acceptable woman means performing femininity well enough to be seen as the submissive one. Like Lollabic says here, the only reason that people are saying that women look masculine is a way to put them down. But I really like seeing women say that they don't have to shrink in order to be able to be seen as a woman. Are you trans? Would you like me to ask if you're trans? How dare you ask me something like that? Are you calling me a man? Is that what you were asking me before? You seem offended. I just asked you the same question that you asked me. Yeah, well, I can just tell. Well, I can just tell that you're a bigot. The you can just tell crowd. If you don't know what a transvestigation is, let me have a doctor explain it to you. The transvestigation conspiracy involves internet pundits using phrenology to, quote, prove that apparently cisgender celebrities are in fact trans, despite pretending otherwise, says Dr. J. Daniel Thompson, a senior lecturer in professional communication at RMIT University. Moral panics about trans and gender or sexual diversity, and specifically the allegedly harmful impact this is having on young people. Won't someone please think of the children? Back on that in a moment. Brigitte is not the only kind of political woman who has been seen to be a man. Most people's favourite female Prime Minister, our ex-Prime Minister Jacinda Ardern, she's been transvestigated too. And the piece which comes up all the time by people who are absolutely convinced that she's a man, she's wearing this chiffon button-down dress with tights or stockings, whatever you want to call them, underneath. Now, I've worked in retail for 5 years. I know the way that fabric works, okay? And this is something which happens to everybody. When you're walking somewhere wearing tights, what gets created? Friction. And by wearing polyester chiffon, which is what she was wearing, you get static made, and so the dress will cling to the stockings except for the area where there's what? No flesh. And so it will droop down in that area and bunch up, therefore creating this sort of bulge, I guess. But apparently Jacinda was hiding a sausage. However, no, she wasn't. This also more recently happened to Kamala Harris as well. However, I would say the main person who suffered the brunt of this was who other than Michelle Obama. I mean, you don't get well-toned arms like that unless you're a man, right? Oh, the main issue was that she was black. The racism is coming into play. Okay, yeah, we get it. And also because people didn't find Jacinda Ardern attractive enough, and because she's a woman in power, people had to find ways to be able to take her down a peg. But you'd think that all of this vitriol was coming from just angry men, right? But no, there's actually a number of women who don't trust other women and who are doing this to each other. Once again, Candace Owens. A classic case is Serena Williams, who has been accused of being a man for basically her entire career. People would say I was born a guy all because of my arms or because I'm strong, she said. I was different to Venus. She was thin and tall and beautiful, and I am strong and muscular and beautiful, but you know, it was just totally different. This is me and this is my weapon and machine, she says, gesturing towards her bicep. Misogynoir is absolutely blatant. Imam Khalif was famously transvestigated last year at the Olympics, spearheaded by who other than proclaimed feminist J.K. Rowling. A strong woman who doesn't meet white supremacist beauty standards? Oh my goodness, must be a man. The thing is that this is the most anti-feminist take that someone can make because it's just saying that a woman can't be good at sports. I want to share this infographic from Egal with you to help you through like the process that people can go through here. So we all start off with patriarchal teaching because if you're watching this video, you will have been taught the exact same rules that I have. We live in a patriarchal world, and so we get taught patriarchal values. And this leads to control, scrutiny, and surveillance of women's bodies, which then leads to sexism and misogyny in sports because, you know, women can't be athletic. Combating sexism, and misogyny/supporting women, where you can get these two very different results. It's either protecting women by transvestigation, which is just a narrow and limiting view on who is a woman, or building a future of sport which is equitable and inclusive. Now, whilst this infographic is predominantly about sports, it can actually apply to a lot of different things when it comes to this whole protecting women transvestigation thing, because as soon as you start to branch off down the transvestigation, protecting women, biological women, you know, those turf little like red flags that you're seeing going off, then you're veering into conservative territory. And this is where farts like J.K. Rowling really flourish. And it's also why it's so dangerous, because they are aligned with the conservative right here, and they're the ones who are doing all of the policing, they're the ones who are judging, they're the ones who are picking apart every single little thing about women, who are already being subjugated to so much bad stuff, as we'll get to in the next section. All farts are really doing is saying that people deserve to not be treated as human if they don't perform femininity properly, according to them. Transvestigations are definitely not new. I mean, if you know Lady Gaga at all, you know that everyone's been accusing her of hiding a sausage for many, many years. And this has been brought up in multiple talk shows, right?
Crazy rumors about you being a hermaphrodite. How do you feel about that when you read that?
And by the way, we don't use that term anymore, it's just intersex.
But it's interesting, a lot of artists would immediately put out some sort of a statement saying this is absolutely not true. You have fun with it.
Why the hell am I going to waste my time and give a press release about whether or not I have a penis? My fans don't care, and neither do I.
But ultimately, she said this iconic quote.
The reason I didn't answer the question was because I didn't feel like a victim with that lie, but I thought about, like, what about a kid that's being accused of that would think a public figure like me would feel shame? It's like, sometimes, I guess what I'm saying is I've been in situations where fixing a rumor was not in the best interest of, I thought of like the well-being of other people.
The main reason that people were transvestigating Lady Gaga to begin with was because she was really inclusive towards queer people, right? And so people were like, oh, I see something wrong with you. Like, if you're new on the scene, you can't be doing that. Transvestigations are happening all over the show as this TikTok shares. And as they say in their caption, they weren't offended at all. It's just like, oh my god, there's a tall woman. Ah, brain is broken. Name it basically any female celebrity in particular, and they will definitely have been transvestigated. It happened recently with the Barbie movie with Margot Robbie and Ryan Gosling. Two people that, like, people have found super, super attractive, even though they're always trying to say that trans people are hideous and whatnot. It's just, the bigotry. And so this post and so many more have been made because, oh my goodness, like, they made a woke feminist movie, therefore must not really be women. You know, it's all about control. It's all really hideous. Like this one with Matthew McConaughey coming out of the water and flicking his hair back. Oh my god, don't you know that your back as a man has to be perfectly straight the whole time? You have to be like this everywhere you go. Like, oh, for goodness sake. What I'm trying to stress to you is, seriously, basically any woman in Hollywood or who has a platform will have been accused of being a man, because that's how these people see trans people. They don't see someone as living their authentic selves. No, they see them as a man who is trying to trick people in order to be able to abuse and harm women. I'm sorry, Candace, but have you never read news stories about just regular straight guys that just go out and do whatever the hell they want anyway, whether people want it or not? Because that happens all the time. People don't need to go through all of the effort of trying to look like a different gender in order to be able to do the nasty stuff. If they want to do the stuff, they will do it, and they'll do it time and again, as has been proven. And thanks to women's rights being under attack, this just makes the world less safe for us. So it was never really about women's safety to begin with. It's always been about control and conformity. But Bryony, don't you know that anybody in the LGBTQIA+ community, they're always here to harm children. We need to protect the children, right? You want to protect the children? If you're so worried about all of these dangers to children, then we need to abolish the Catholic Church. Like, child not only been rife there for decades, but they covered it up too. A French clergy was found to have over 200,000 children over the course of 70 years. Most of whom were boys between the age of 10 to 13. It's not just the Catholic Church, no, it's also the Southern Baptists as well. Not only did they cover this up for years for hundreds of cases, but it was also their own leaders doing this too. And yes, there were indeed cases involving children. And the party, which is always so concerned about women and children, well, you need to be pulling rank inside your own party then, because they're the ones that are actually doing the most heinous stuff. I'm not saying that Democrats haven't also abused women, but when it comes to children in particular, it's always the conservatives. But no, it's always the LGBTQIA plus people. They're the ones who are manipulating kids. They're the ones that, no. They're not the ones that are doing this. The call is coming from inside the house, but they're deflecting and creating this phantasm of all of the bad things that are happening with the gender ideology. When I was a young girl, I looked like a less socially adept version of this girl from Matilda that gets swung around by Miss Trunchbull, right? Including having plaited pigtails. And because my name is Bryony, it sounds an awful lot like Brian, doesn't it? Or Byron, as people often mistake that. I had to wear ugly corrective shoes and glasses, and I was very afraid of everybody and just socially inept, okay? And so I got bullied a lot as a kid, and one thing that the boys really liked to do in particular was be like, oh, Bryony must be Brian, she's a boy. And so there was even this one kid who was so fixated on this and kept on trying to lift up my skirt about it, okay? Like, but that only lasted whilst I was a very young, like I was in like 5 to 7 years old that really went on. And then years later, completely unbeknownst to me, I was transvestigated. A patron told me about it. I'm going to share some of the video with you because I don't want you to go like giving them money for this nonsense, because this is actually ridiculous. I cracked up laughing when I saw this because they spent hours, if not days, trawling through my social media, trying to find photos of me and my husband and being like, she's a boy, he's a girl. And like all they've done is like put up photos of like skulls next to our faces and been like, see, look, proof. And it's like, are you, like, your life is this sad that you spend this long trying to unpack what genitalia I've got? Are you serious?
If your armpit hair is that long, I can't imagine what else is overgrown. Ew, oh my God. Glad you spent your free time thinking about what my looks like, Megan.
Because I committed the sin of inclusion, like, my God. I cackled laughing when I saw this, because the thing is, like, I don't view trans people or intersex people as anything lesser than. It doesn't worry me at all. I don't need to go trying to prove to people that I'm a girl or anything, you know. I do not care. The purpose of this whole endeavor that they went on was to try and undermine me and make people doubt anything that I shared. You know, I must be lying. I'm a deceiver. And there's going to be a number of you saying like, wait, you got transvestigated? Because like, I meet a lot of markers of traditional femininity, right? Because I'm white, I've got blue-green eyes, I'm blonde, I'm not tall, I'm not strong, and I like very feminine things. The problem was that I stepped out of line. This was a tactic to shut me up, because you can't possibly be a real woman if you stand up for others. I've been noticing this uptick in transvestigations happening to regular everyday people. People have been sharing that this has been happening even in their workplaces. The whole point is to not trust any woman. Make sure that no community can be built, no camaraderie can be built. Everybody needs to be wary of each other. Everybody needs to be policing and looking out to make sure, are you a real woman? Oh, you're doing this. Oh, Mary did that. Oh, they did that. The whole point is to make women feel insecure, for women to constantly like be monitoring themselves and each other. And yes, this does indeed have ties in with the whole like thin is in as well. When we say that trans rights are women's rights, this is exactly what we mean. Because when they're accusing someone of being trans, they're actually saying that they're ugly, that they're a man, that they are less than human, because they don't see anyone who is trans as being worthy of being called human or treated as a human. And when it comes to farts, remember the better term for TERFs, the worst thing to be called is a man, because then from their twisted and warped version of feminism, you are an enemy. This is what I mean when I say that farts are not feminists like me, and especially if you're someone like me, you practice intersectional feminism. Like, we recognize all of the interlocking issues that happen. Just look at this TikTok. When they can always tell but literally start imploding at aquiline noses and flat chests on cis women. Oh yeah, I forgot, that's the other thing I needed to add to the list if your boobs aren't big enough. All of this is done to say that you are not performing femininity properly, because if you were, then you would be adhering to what patriarchy deems femininity should be. You would be getting in line. I mean, the only validation we need is from the patriarchy, and that dictates that women do not speak up, just get back to breeding.
Feminism, birth control, abortion, everything was created to destabilize our population and destabilize the nuclear family, to destabilize Western civilization.
How does it make you feel to be in a marriage where
secure?
Okay, that's one word. What's another word? It's another S word.
Safe.
Of course, we need to remember there is only one way to be a good woman, as this video from Verily Bitchy unpacks brilliantly. Too masculine and you're a villain. She's big and she's into manly things. Too girly and you're a villain because you're trying too hard. You're vapid, selfish, and an airheaded bimbo. That's the one I get accused of all the time. There is only one good woman, the kind that's closest to, guess what? The trad wife. She's modest, quiet, soft and feminine, and she's great with kids. I know I've shouted out Verily Bitch's work before, but seriously, the work that she and Ada do is amazing, and I loved their last video too. You should really just go subscribe to them. And through history, though yes, men have predominantly been in power, women are often the ones who are still doing the police work. Yes, you can be a victim of it and a supporter of it at the same time. These positions are not mutually exclusive, but rather reflect a strategy in the face of fascism. The British Union of Fascists, or the BUF, or the BUF, whatever you want to call them, they're gross people. Not only did they exist in the past, but fascists are still alive and well in the UK today. Otherwise, people like Nigel Farage wouldn't exist. As is detailed in Julie V. Gottlieb's Feminine Fascism, Women in Britain's Fascist Movement, 1923 to 1945, and as is discussed in this piece by Lucas René Ramos, the British fascisti sometimes came under attack over problems of gender and sexual nonconformity. The leader of that group, Linton Orman, for example, was described as a mannish woman, and the BUF ranks took to denigrating any protesting red cowards who appeared at black shirt meetings as, sorry, never repeat this, as, quote, she-males. In fact, these fears over deviant gender roles and sexual acts deeply animated the BUF's recruits to forge endless images of heterosexual conformity to justify that they were politically necessary to the fascist movement. The women of fascism are meant to be the ideal woman, supporting always the patriarchal power, whether that's in the domestic or public sphere. And you'll notice that the women who normally go into those high-ranking roles typically fit into the sort of standard that you're meant to meet when it comes to fascist beauty standards for women. They're obedient to the man's wishes and also hold power over other women. They are the police enforcing the rules, and this is done on so many levels.
Something is afoot with this whole affair. I know it. I believe you know it too.
As Judith Butler once again so wisely says in their book, Who's Afraid of Gender? The weaponization of this fearsome phantasm of gender is authoritarian at its core, rolling back progressive legislation. It is surely fueled by backlash, but backlash describes only the reactive moment in this scene. The project of restoring the world to a time before gender promises a return to a patriarchal dream or order that may never have existed, but that occupies the place of history or nature, an order that only the strong state can restore. Just look at the undoing of the Equal Pay Amendment Bill here in Aotearoa, thanks to some women who are very influential. As we know, because I brought this up in this video about the safety issues of women when it comes to the safety of bathrooms, oh no! Women's bathrooms have become this targeted space for all of this fear to be erupting, of this what I'm calling femininity policing, where anyone who goes into a bathroom who doesn't quite look like how a woman, quote, should look, they're a suspect now. This study from UCLA, published in February 2025, found that when comparing non-discrimination spaces with places without these protections, there was no evidence that privacy and safety in restrooms changed as a result of transgender people having, by law, access to restrooms and other facilities in accordance with their gender identity. However, it is a consistent finding across studies and over time that transgender people report being denied access to these spaces and experiencing verbal harassment and physical assault from others in these spaces. As studies have been conducted on this over the years, you can see a steep decline in harassment as people have become, I wouldn't say welcoming, but I'd say more, quote, tolerant of people varying away from the gender binary that everyone must fit into. But with these new laws in place in the UK, the US, Winston Peters wants it here, attitudes towards gender non-conforming and trans people has become actively hostile. People feel strangely emboldened to harass people now because it's been encouraged. And at the same time, this is making things worse for women, because if you don't look how a woman, quote, should look, read white supremacist standards of beauty, you're gonna get targeted, and it's happened. Kayala Morton said she'd entered a restroom with her ex-girlfriend who handed her a tampon when two male deputies stormed in, shining flashlights into the stall and demanding she exit. Morton, still using the toilet, was stunned. So it's totally fine for men to just go violently barging into women's bathrooms as long as it's done in the name of women's safety, right? She even lifted her shirt in order to try and prove to them that she was a woman, but they said that she looked like a man. She even recorded a video whilst they were in there. And you'll notice how this trend mostly affects lesbians, gender non-conforming people, and non-white white women. The only men in that bathroom were the cops. Kate Osborne spoke up in Parliament in the UK when this new ruling was going to be brought into place. You know, the only biological women are women.
In January, I was misgendered 3 times in 1 2-hour train journey. I've been misgendered by staff of this house, misgendered whilst buying some jeans last week. It's genuinely a frequent issue for me and a number of my lesbian friends.
The comments on this video are all vile as well. I only read one which was actually supporting her. One person was saying how it's all a choice to look how someone does, therefore you get what you choose. But it's not a choice if presenting the way that you feel most comfortable is the thing that's going to get you violently attacked. Dude, you're removing choice there. Is this not just an attractiveness test according to white supremacy? It's like women owe other people beauty and we're being enforced to do that. It wasn't about bathrooms in the Jim Crow era, and it's not about bathrooms now. And guess who's also used women's equality against other women? Not just the new American right, Phyllis Schlafly. She's a famously staunch anti-feminist. The Equal Rights Act, ERA, was gaining momentum in the US in the 1970s, and she wanted to stop it from being ratified, so she made bathrooms a space of fear, saying that once gender equality had been guaranteed under the Constitution, Schlafly cautioned, no laws could prevent men from entering women's bathrooms. Public restrooms could become a dangerous trap. And she claimed women would lose their right to privacy via sex. And of course, tapping into racism, Schlafly and her allies warned that ERA would integrate public toilets, since most southern states had yet to vote on the ERA, language that suggested it would follow the recent racial integration of public restrooms with sex integration, ensured a spirited southern opposition to the amendment. It's the exact same panic as today. The ACLU tracks anti-LGBTQIA+ laws in the US, and they are currently tracking 598 anti-LGBTQ+ bills in the US, and trans identity has been completely scrubbed from US government websites. This even includes the Stonewall Monument website. Bisexual erasure briefly happened there too, as journalist Erin Reed discovered and shared on her Substack. The Wayback Machine showed LGBTQ had largely been swapped out for gay and lesbian. Once again, it's all about the binary. There can only be one. It's like Carrie taught us this in the 90s, right?
I'm not even sure bisexuality exists. I think it's just a layover on the way to Gay Town.
Now, it needs to be noted that it was the National Park Service that did this change, not anything to do with like the Stonewall Bar or the charity or anything. So please don't go throwing hate at them. Kurt Kelly, owner of the Stonewall Inn, told them, "The erasure of bisexual people from federal websites is not just a digital oversight, it's a deliberate act of invisibility that harms an already marginalized part of our LGBTQ+ community. Do you know what else is a threat to fascism? No-fault divorce. And it's something that Mike Johnson, Speaker of the House, is vehemently against. In case you're unaware, he's a Southern Baptist, and do you remember that about the abuse earlier with Southern Baptists? Great person to have a Speaker of the House, hey? He is in a covenant marriage, which is a marriage which is much harder to break because you can't use no-fault divorce as a way to split, and it's something which is an option in 3 different states in the US currently. And as is discussed in Wild Faith by Talia Levin, Johnson is a former attorney for the Alliance Defending Freedom, ADF, Christian right law firm whose chief function is providing model legislation to states on subjects evangelicals fixate on, including abortion, birth control, and gay sex. As he discusses with, of course, who else but Jordan Peterson.
It's upon that idea, as you note rightly, we began to deviate from that idea about 50 or 60 years ago or so, a little bit longer, and that is why we're at the hopeless result that we are. So I believe we have to get back to those founding principles.
For the love of our Lord Jesus Christ and precious Savior, shut your pie holes, please.
Did you know it was actually Ronald Reagan, of all people, that started off the whole no-fault divorce thing in California? Yeah, congratulations, Mike. You're somehow worse than Reagan. I didn't think it was possible. J.D. Vance has said, in a school setting no less, people are getting divorced as often as they...
Making it easier for people to shift spouses like they change their underwear.
What kind of underwear are you on about, JD? Like a chastity belt? Because I'm sure that anyone that's gotten a divorce will be able to tell you it's not an easy thing to do. Do you know who has helped the most when it comes to no-fault divorce? IPV victims who tend to be women. In January, Oklahoma Republican Senator Dusty Devers introduced legislation that would have removed married couples from filing for divorce on the grounds of incompatibility. No-fault divorce was a, quote, abolition of marital obligation. Whilst it's not got a sweeping movement for now, we didn't think that Roe v. Wade would ever be overturned, and this is something something that the evangelical right is really passionate about, dissolving no-fault divorce. Being a child of divorce sucks, like I'm one of them, but it's much better than having them subject to situations of IPV or cruelty. And there is so much judgment towards single parents and barely any support for them, even though we know that it takes a village to be able to raise children. Here's a new phrase for all of you to learn as well. Willful childlessness. It's not people choosing to be child-free. No, it's a willful childlessness now. Like we're disobeying orders or something. I also hate this wording because there are people like me who choose to be child-free. This is something that we're super happy about, hence the term child-free, because you're free of all of the expectations of it, because you're just like, no, that's not for me.
Complete this famous saying, better late than... Blanche!
Pregnant! Whereas childless is for people who want to have children, but who can't for multiple different reasons. I have deep sympathy for people who want to have kids but aren't able to. But this term, willful childlessness, is villainizing both. It's basically saying that people must procreate because that's the natural order of things. It's a natural thing to do. The only natural thing I want to hear about is the S Club 7 song, which you forgot about, but somehow still remember all of the lyrics to. Part of the BBB, the Big Beautiful Bill, was defunding Planned Parenthood. It blocks Planned Parenthood affiliates from receiving Medicaid funding for at least 1 year. This ban, which fulfills conservatives' long-running pledge to defund Planned Parenthood, would force the organization to close roughly 200 health centers. Blue states, which are home to larger numbers of Medicaid beneficiaries, would probably take a disproportionate hit. Now, Planned Parenthood sued over the defunding provision, but this is only a temporary hold over the inevitable outcomes. Whilst Planned Parenthood provides so much more healthcare than just abortions, the intent is clear. It's about stripping away bodily autonomy from people who can get pregnant, whether it's something that they want or not, or whether it's something which is medically unsafe for them or not. And this isn't just a USA issue. In the UK, crisis pregnancy centres are starting to pop up all over the place too. These places claim to give neutral advice about abortions, but they actually spread misinformation and stigma and fear about abortions. But it's the US where this money is coming from, as this Amnesty investigation uncovered. Anti-rights groups have dramatically increased their spending by over 33% between 2019 and 2023, reaching £106 million. The Alliance for Defending Freedom, the ADF, remember Speaker Mike Johnson, a Christian group that was instrumental in decimating abortion rights through the reversal of Roe v. Wade, set up a UK branch in 2015. The ADF works to advance laws and policies that oppose access to abortion and LGBTI rights. In the UK, they have been defending individuals charged for breaching safe access zones around abortion clinics. Such a noble thing to do, to be defending harassers. The ADF is spending more and more in the UK, and its expenditure increased by 187% between 2019 and 2023, for a total of $3.9 million. The largest spenders are UK branches of US organisations, $34 million, ultra-conservative Christian policy advocacy groups, £31.5 million, and anti-abortion organisations, £28.5 million. Groups promoting so-called conversion therapy have increased their spending by an alarming 165%. The growth in expenditure of crisis pregnancy centres, which work to dissuade pregnant people from seeking an abortion, has risen 46% between 2019 and 2023. It's not being pro-life when you are not there supporting the entire life of the child, when you're not putting in place safety things like control, the most basic of things in the US. It's pro-forced birth. I've said it for years and I'm sticking with that, because you do not give a toss about them once they're outside of the womb. And the thing is that the entire burden is put on the person with the uterus, the person who carries the baby, basically leaving all responsibility / blame with them. Like, this is despite the fact that we can only have birth once a year. Meanwhile, the people carrying around the semen everywhere, they can have so many babies. They can just go pew-pewing everywhere that they want. But no, the carrier is the problem. As is brilliantly discussed in the book You're the Only One I've Told by Dr. Meera Shah, the Turnaway study researchers discovered through their work that when someone is turned away from a desired abortion, they are 4 times more likely to live below the federal poverty line, and less likely to have aspirational life plans in the coming year. Among many other barriers to a thriving life, they are less likely to be employed and more likely to rely on public assistance. But I thought you didn't want people getting government handouts, so what the hell are you doing? I wanted to bring all of this stuff up because I needed to stress to you how well interconnected all of this is and how well organized it is, and it just wraps everything together and traps it. It makes me think of, like, you know those decorative spider webs that people put over things in Halloween time? Just like how that stuff chokes wildlife. No, really, it does. It kills owls, bats, birds, bugs, moths, toads, frogs, kills all sorts of stuff. It's really, really dangerous, and you're just putting plastic into the environment. Please never use that. But it's the exact same thing when it comes to this tactic. It's all encompassing, and it just chokes everybody, and it means that nothing can get free.
What is this place? And why does everyone look like an Easter egg?
Liberty is the ultimate threat when it comes to an authoritarian state and fascist wishes. By providing people accurate information on the world, by people being able to see the accurate history that happened in their past, why do you think critical race theory is something which people hate so much? And this strict binary view likes to pretend that intersex people have never existed. And thanks to all of these rulings which are being made, it's as if they shouldn't exist, as if they're just muddying the waters, as if they're this inconvenient other, and it's almost falling into the whole, well, they should be fixed when they're children. As far as I know, it doesn't happen anymore, but it's a practice that used to happen, was to force a child, like, which way are they going to be? Are they going to be a boy or are they going to be a girl? Because you can't possibly be intersex. Intersex people are valid, but Janet over here wants to pretend like they're not in order to be able to have, like, her bigotry, like, run riot. The anti-gender movement is guided by an inflammatory syntax that is a way of ordering the world that absorbs and reproduces anxieties and fears about permeability, precarity, displacement and replacement, loss of patriarchal power of both the family and the state, and the loss of white supremacy and national purity. The funniest thing is, now that I've done this video, I bet there's going to be people transvestigating me again. It's like, I do not care. Don't worry telling me about it. I would just encourage you not to watch them, to, like, not give them money. I genuinely do not care if people think I am. That's not my burden to prove. And the thing is, no matter how much evidence I or anyone else would give, it would never be enough because people don't want to be proven wrong. People just want to have a way to try and chip away at someone's credibility, to make someone feel lesser than, to make people not trust them. That's what this ultimately comes down to, right? Just like Trump has said this term in particular, like enemies from within, it's meant to make sure that women do not trust each other. This is why feminism has been twisted by these women on the right to mean emasculating men, to mean child-hating women, and women that look down on other women if they have children. Like I said, I don't want kids, but do I support my bestie and my other friends that have kids? Absolutely. And the other thing that women like to focus on is forcing women into the workplace, because Brandon was also, like, watching over his shoulder because he was playing a game whilst that documentary was playing, and he was like, nah mate, that's just capitalism. Like, that's seriously what it is. This whole girl boss feminism thing, that's just capitalism. Feminism's the thing that's trying to make sure that you get paid equally and that you don't have to deal with sexual harassment, you know, the things that benefit you. And this is why the image of femininity is so narrow and something that must be constantly monitored by you and by others to make sure that people are performing it properly. To mean that women don't want to work together and don't want to be intersectional because the only real woman will fit the image but must look and act submissive. It's all about control through suspicion. Women are the police force and men are the state given the orders. They don't even have to do any work because the women are doing it for them. They can just sit back and laugh and also get away with doing heinous things. The entire point is for us to feel unsafe because we have no community, because we do not trust each other. It's all the same as the hate spawned against immigrants, which is something that especially white Americans cling on to, even though you're all immigrants. I could do an entire video about immigration, honestly, but most of it really just comes back to white supremacy. Like, you know that already, right? And this is again why I stress the need for community, for reaching out to each other, for getting to know your neighbors, getting involved in mutual aid. Like this brownie that I've made, because we've got some lemons that need to get picked from the tree, I'm gonna go give, like, a bunch of this brownie, not all of it, because I definitely need it, to my neighbors, as well as like lemons and stuff. Like, this is all this sort of like community building stuff, which is good. I just want you to ask, ultimately, who is it helping to tell women that they aren't looking or acting like women enough? It's not making women safer, it's just serving patriarchy and authoritarian powers, which are scarily getting stronger. One thing that Judith Butler really stresses in their book, Who's Afraid of Gender, is this need for coalition, this need for us to work together. Like, coalitions are not comfortable. Coalitions are not something where you're all like super cozy friends. It's working together to fight the bigger evil. Coalitions do not require mutual love. They only require a shared insight that the oppressive forces can be defeated by acting together and moving forward with difficult differences without insisting on their ultimate resolution. If you did make it to the end of this video, thank you so much. I really greatly appreciate it. Let's go try that brownie because I need to know if it's any good. That is so good. Oh my goodness. I have to share it. I have to. I don't want to, but I will. But yeah, thank you so much if you made it all the way to the end of this video. I really, really do appreciate it. I wish I could share this sweet treat with you, but like I said, the recipe is linked for you down below. It's good. And hey, at least this one turned out better than my lemon meringue pie, right? Is this like some sort of redemption? If you made it all the way to the end of this video, what ways have you seen women get policed for the way that they look and things that they should be insecure about? I just want us to let go of the expectation that everybody should look the same, because like that's ridiculous, and what a boring world we'd live in if they did. Seriously, it'd be so dull. Massive thank you, of course, to all of my patrons, because they're the ones that said that I should go ahead and do this video, because I was just like, I think this is time. I think I need to do it now. And they all agreed. So say thank you to them as well in the comments. And a massive thank you, of course, to my top tier trash panda enablers: Brigitte, Carrie Quake, Danielle, Emberly McCulley, Jam, Jeff Boyardi, Jem, Katrina Dunn, Laura Bell, Maxie, Megan Connolly, Mila Gautier, Nathan, Nicole H, Ryder, Tammy Poitras, Tonya Banier, and Veru Cat Mama. This is gluten-free as well, by the way, in case people are like, oh, why is it so flat? It's gluten-free, but it tastes amazing, if I do say so myself.